Alright, hi guys. As you guys can see from the title of the video, I am making a series on how I'm gonna get to 10k a month trading prop firms. Now, this series is more so a journal for myself and also for anyone who's learning how to trade and are on the start of their trading journey, because I've only started trading since July of 2025, so about 6 months now. And I'm making this to show transparency in my trading journey, to keep myself accountable, and for anyone who's looking to learn and have someone along them in this trading journey, since trading is a really tough thing to do. So what I'm gonna do is to upload weekly recaps on my trades, on my P&L, and every month I will be updating my statistics, such as how much I've spent on evals, how many payouts I've taken, how much in payouts I've taken, and what accounts I'm running, how many funder accounts, how many funders I've blown, how many evals I've blown, yada yada yada. Basically, all of these, small things. And I think that this is gonna be a interesting journey to watch for myself, and hopefully for you guys to, enjoy. So, not without further ado, let's get into the video. So as you can tell, for this week, these are the 4 trading days I've traded. On Tuesday, I made about $59. Wednesday, about $420. Thursday, $250. And Friday, $238. Now, this is copy traded across my 6 total funder accounts. So I have 2 Lucid accounts, 3 Alpha Zero accounts, and I also have 1 Apex account. So that comes up to about 5.8k this week across all my 6 funder accounts. Alright, so let's talk about the first trade I took on Tuesday. When market opened, it swept out London high and then formed this first presented fair value gap. So I was waiting for it to inverse and then take short positions on it, because I was leaning bearish on the session, even though we had that new week opening gap, because it seemed like the market wanted to take more liquidity before filling it up. So I took this trade, and after it inversed, I entered aiming to go break even at this blue line, but I basically got stopped out within like a minute or two. So I took a loss of 200 on this trade. Alright, now you might then be asking, how the fuck did I get back to plus $59 in a day if I was down 200 already? So I then did not record this because I was low-key a bit tilted, right? And I took a trade on silver. Now, as you know, if you trade futures, silver is hella volatile. So I took a long position because it just looked good for higher, since silver is on a bull run right now. However, I did not take it with any idea. I did not take it with any entry triggers. I did not take it with any setups. I just blind longed it on a pullback, and the moment I saw green, I closed it out. So honestly, this trade was really stupid, and I only won on this trade because I basically got lucky. If it went wrong, I could have blown my accounts, right? But thankfully, the moment I saw green, I just closed it, and I decided that I was done trading for that day, because it was just a stupid thing to trade. Alright, now let's talk about the 21st on Wednesday, okay? So for this day, I actually took this trade, and I didn't record this, okay? Because when I was recording, the move up was explosive, right? Okay, if everyone remembers this trading day, the market just opened and just manipulated higher with barely any retracement, right? There was this retracement here, which was basically nothing, and this tiny one here. Now, I was waiting for continuation longs the whole day, and I did not get anything. Now, when the market started to melt, I saw an opportunity to get in on this small little retracement, 1 minute fair value gap, tap in, and a 1 minute inversion, just targeting this low over here. Now, this was not an A+ setup for me, right? Because I was low-key feeling FOMO from missing this entire move up. However, I thought that it made sense to try a basic half risk trade, trying to target the lows on this move down. And in the end, it did work out. I took this trade with 3 micros, and usually I'm risking about 100 to 200 on a trade, 100 being my half size, 200 being my full size trade. So I was risking about $100. I was running stops quite tight. Honestly, it was running it like this, okay? And thankfully, the market just melted, and I did get that winning trade to put me at plus $420 on the day. So alright, so let's talk about the trade I took on Thursday. Now, when I started recording, the market already flushed, okay? So let me just bring you through my thought process first. There was a 30-second inversion here after the market displaced lower, tagged back into a 15-minute fair value gap, and I was looking for continuation shorts to this London low over here. So I entered the trade and the market immediately dumped, which was a great thing to see. I entered on 2 micros because today was quite volatile and I wanted to manage my risk well. So I scaled out a contract about here, closer to the blue line, which was where I was planning to take full TP or at least trail my stops. So I scaled off a contract here, as you can see. Alright, 2 contracts became 1. And then after that, I was letting this ride to at least the blue line to trail stops or to London low. Now, after trailing that 1 scale off, it just reversed really quick and just, took me out at break even. So that was like a plus $70 trade because I didn't take full TP. Now, this was the second trade I took. Now, the key thing for this trade was I actually took it twice, right? So the third trade was actually the same trade as this one. The issue with the first try on this trade was that I was trying to front run this 2-minute IFVG. So as mentioned earlier, the market reversed higher. So now the market was trending higher and it tagged back into this bullish 5-minute fair value gap. So what I was looking for was a 2-minute inversion here, and then after that seek higher. So the issue with this trade was on this big green candle, it looked like it was going to inverse the 2-minute fair value gap with about 17 seconds left to close. So I tried to front run because if the momentum kept up, in my head I was thinking that I would only get filled at like this level here, right? Which means my confirmation would just screw my RR up, right? I would not be able to enter here because it would be too high up and my stops would be way too wide. So the only idea I could have to get into this trade was to front run the 2-minute inversion to get a better RR, although it was a bit riskier. So that's what I did, and I got stopped out manually, right? I didn't hit my stop loss, right? The point where my idea would have been invalidated would be below this swing low over here. So as you can see, right, let me show you the trade. I entered here and then it rejected this 2-minute FVG to inverse, so it did not flip. And I was like, okay, that is not a good sign if I was looking for higher. So I held it for a little bit longer, wanting to see if there would be speed above this inversion or if it would fail. So as you can see, the trade was closed out manually, even though it didn't hit my stop loss, because I was thinking that, if it failed to inverse and it was going to reject, more likely than not, it was going to come hit my stop loss, and I would rather close that trade to reassess. So on that trade, I lost about 115. That put me at about negative $45 on the session so far. Alright, so on to the third trade. Like I mentioned earlier, this was the exact same trade I took earlier. As you can see, this was the 1-minute structure, right? I exited about here because, as I said, I thought that price was going to reject for lower. But when I saw that it rejected this 5-minute fair value gap and pushed higher again, this gave me another reason to try and enter the trade again, looking for higher. And if I lost this trade, this would have been my loss for the day. I would be down 1R and I would be done for the day. So I front run the inversion again, and as you can see, the 2-minute did in fact flip later on, which was a good sign in my opinion. Now we were mainly battling the 1-minute fair value gap here. So I was looking for speed going above this break-even point, which if I fast forward, you can see that there was no speed there, which was a bit annoying, right? It did keep me a bit on the edge in this trade. However, I decided to trust in my trade and in my idea. Now, as you can see, price did get really close to break even, so I wanted to scale off a contract here because, as I mentioned earlier, I was down about negative $45. So if I took that scale off, I would be break even on a day. And then I proceeded to trail my stops because with this push up towards break even though it didn't really take the line yet, I wouldn't want to see it come back down past this first inverted fair value gap here, which was the 2-minute IFVG, right? I wanted price to hold above this 1-minute IFVG. So I trailed my stops right below the 2-minute IFVG, and I decided to see how things would play out. So as you can see here, I trailed my stops right below there. Now, as you can see, in the end, price did at least get up to this level. So I was looking for relative equal highs above and the 8:30 opening price. However, the move is very, very lethargic. So on Bookmap, right, there was a point of interest at the level of 690. So I was planning to scale out another contract at 690 and let the last one be a runner towards relative equal highs or New York PM highs. So after waiting for like God knows how long, we managed to take the trade up to the 690 level, and yeah, we managed to scale off there. I left this last runner, which if you see here, got taken out at this trailing stop loss. So yeah, here we got stopped trailing our stop loss. So that put me at a positive $250 on the day. Alright, now let's move on to our last trade of the week. Alright, this was the trade I took yesterday on Friday. Okay, so the context for this trade was that, you know, market was rocketing up. Same as Tuesday. It was just rocketing up with no pullback. Or Wednesday, not Tuesday. Right? It was just rocketing up with no real pullback. There was a pullback like here, right? Not a big pullback, but a small pullback. When I was looking for a bigger pullback, like into a 5 or 15-minute fair value gap to do continuations higher, but I didn't get any, right? So as market got up to this area here, we started to see exhaustion from buyers, right? And we had this big, well, not really big, but this retracement down, and this created a 1-minute fair value gap. Now, the price retested that fair value gap and flipped another 1-minute FVG here to create an IFVG. So this looked to me like a solid setup for shorts, and I think I was running like a 25 point stop loss, so I was only risking about $170. Now, since we were in deep premium, I thought that we could take shorts down into the discount area, or at least this 15-minute gap fill. So that was what I was targeting, right? And I took my position here. I was running stops relatively tight because this was a counter trend trade, so I didn't want to get cooked on the loss if it came up too high. So I put stops above this 1-minute FVG and hope to see speed down towards the 5-minute FVG. So if we fast forward, you can see that it went back, retested the 1-minute FVG, and then it inverted this 1 minute later on. So I did consider adding another contract here, but it just seemed a little risky, just DCAing when we don't have full structure downwards yet. So I let the trade play out, and I put this blue line here for me to trail stop losses right above this swing high, because I really do not want to see price, you know, come back up there. Now, as you can see here, price did displace heavily, and at this 5-minute fair value gap tap, I ran stops to break even, because this was an area that would make or break the trade. It would either reject heavily, or if it flushes through this, we were going to see the 15-minute fair value gap relatively easily. So I ran stops to break even here, and I decided that I wanted to scale out a contract towards this consequent encroachment of this gap, or towards the full fill of the gap. So momentum was strong, so I dragged my scale off to the full fill of the 5-minute, and I took my scale off here. Now, at this point, I was just letting the trade run, right? This looked good for lower. We looked like we were coming down to the 15-minute fair value gap. Now, we did get a pullback here, right? Into this 1-minute fair value gap. So, as you can see, I drew it out here, and I was actually thinking of scaling in again, even though I just scaled out. Because if it tapped into the 1 minute and rejected heavily, downward was definitely the move to go. So, as you can see, the price did reject in a bit here. Now, as you can see, price was lingering around this 1-minute fair value gap, which was the point of interest I had to scale in another contract, because if this gap held and rejected for lower, I was very, very confident that we were going to see the 15-minute gap fill. So I think around here, it rejected, right? And I scaled in another contract. Now, I still immediately brought my stops, which were here, to break even at this point, because regardless of the contract scale in, I do not want to see it come back up here after rejecting that 1 minute gap. So, Bookmap had some comms around 770 and 760 as a rejection zone. So I decided to set a scale off at around 770, which it then took. And then as it came down towards 760, there was a strong rejection. And I already scaled off and had one last contract, which was the one I scaled in, running. So I brought my stops to break even, because if it rejected there heavily, I was pretty sure that it was just going to take my stops and run higher. So it did come closer to taking me out, and I decided to just close the contract here. So on this whole week, I am up about 5.8k on all those 6 accounts in total, and I will be eligible for a payout on my alpha accounts next week. And for the lucid accounts, I am still building a buffer on them. So this month for me is about scaling the number of funded accounts I have, because I'm currently running 4 funded Nix Bolt evals, which I am not counting as part of my P&L. And I am also trying to build buffer for the accounts I currently have so that I can take payouts on them. Yeah, so that's about it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope this trade breakdown was somewhat useful for some of you guys. And if you are interested in looking at my trading journey and wanting to find out more about how I trade and how I learned to trade and the ups and downs of my trading journey, I hope you guys can give me a like and a subscription, and that would really mean a lot to me.